Okay.
Okay, good evening, guys. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Um, okay, so I think we can start now our webinar. Our guest for this evening will be the owner of Canine Kashi, the one and only. So I think everybody knows uh, Kashi because we all have mutual friends. Without further ado, Kashi, can you tell us more about yourself?
Yeah. So, thank you guys. Thank you, Bruce, for this invitation. A brief introduction about myself. My name is Kashi. I'm a full-time lawyer in the Supreme Court of India. I also practice dog training as a serious hobby, and now it's becoming a serious part-time endeavor of mine. When I say part-time, I don't mean to insult part-time business. It's just that I do nothing else except practice law and now practice dog training. So you can say that I'm practicing dog training and I'm also practicing the business of law. So that's about it. But I got into dog training a little more seriously during the COVID when opportunity presented itself. I found myself with a lot of time to study dog training. I sincerely believe that if you have a dog, you are already a dog trainer because we are always talking to our dogs. Do this, don't do this, everything else. The question is, does the dog understand you? That is the question. And if the dog understands you, then you are a better dog trainer than a person whose dog does not listen to you. To me, that is the only difference between a dog trainer and a person who has a dog. Okay, okay.
Please turn off your microphones. Please mute your microphones.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. You can turn off the microphone, but I would love to see your faces. So if it's okay with you guys, please turn on your camera. It's an opportunity for me to say hello to all my friends here. Okay. Yeah. It's much nicer to look at people's faces than to look at a screen while you're talking. Okay. So so today we are going to be talking about direct and indirect reward. Now, before I start talking about this particular system of dog training, I want to tell everybody a bit about the way I look at dog training, and I want you to know that this is my interpretation. So we all start dog training by looking at good videos of good trainers, and we try to copy them. There's nothing wrong with it. This is called monkey do, monkey see. You know, monkey sees what the other monkey does, and you do it. In fact, it's one of the better ways to practice dog training. You look at something you like, you try to replicate. But very soon, you start to wonder, okay, what did he do? And then you start to ask yourself, okay, how did he do? But nobody asks a question, why did he do this? Or why did he train the dog in this manner? Or why did he do it in this particular way and why not in this way? So this why, according to me, should be the most important and the integral part of dog training. If you want to learn to teach your dog, let's say, heel, you should not be asking, what should I do to make the dog heel? You should not be asking how to make the dog heel. You should be asking, why should the dog want to heel with me? What is it that I'm doing that makes it nicer for the dog to want to heel with me? So we go back to the basic question of why does a dog do anything at all? You do dog training because you want to be a dog trainer. You do healing because you want to show healing. You do retrieve because you want the dog to come back to you. The question is, Okay, yes, dog's barking. Yeah. So the question is, why should the dog heal with you? Why should the dog come back to you? Why should the dog even want to do anything that you are trying to make the dog do something? Hey guys,
Hold on. Sergeant Alfeche, please turn off your mic.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you, guys. So we must always start our dog training with why. And why makes everything interesting, because why suddenly makes you think, what should I do better? All right. So just let me know if you guys can see me clearly. All right. So, okay. And I'm just trying to continue my last sentence is that most of our common goals in dog training is that let me demonstrate how my dog does a particular behavior. There is never any attention paid as to how did the dog come to demonstrate this behavior. How? What was the methodology by which the dog came to demonstrate this behavior? Because if you start to go backwards and start to look at the methodology used by a trainer, you can then immediately spot the differences between a happy dog and a dog that feels pressurized to do a behavior. All right. So once you start to spend a little more time in understanding how did the dog do this? Is it because of me, or is it because the dog wanted to do something? I'm going to give you an example. All of you guys must have had puppies, right? Please raise your hand if you guys ever bought a puppy and not an adult dog. Okay. So when you buy a puppy, you will find it very, very easy to teach retrieve. There is no magic in it. You know why? Because when a puppy is between 3 to 7 weeks or 8 weeks, the puppy's whole world is you. Everything interesting happens because you are there in that room. You come into the room, puppy room, you give food, you get the puppy to do a toilet business, you play with puppy, you touch the puppy. So you are the master of the universe for that puppy. So in that very brief period between 4 to 9 weeks, 10 weeks, you can keep throwing, and 10 or 8 out of 10 times the dog, if it knows how to hold an object, he will come back to you with the object. Even if he cannot hold an object, he will still come back to you happily. Okay, I want you to go back in your memory lane and ask yourself, is this exactly what happened to you? And I'm 8 out of 10 dogs in the puppyhood will demonstrate the same behavior. There is no magic in it. Of course, the magic is that if your dog can pick up metal items, if it can pick up, let's say, vibration items, if it can pick up items which are very thin to hold, then of course, there's a little bit of genetics, a little bit of training. But I'm just talking about a regular retrieve, like a retrieving a small ball or retrieving a small paper. We are just talking about simple retrieves. So these retrieves happen because the dog is coming to you because you are the most interesting person to that puppy. Okay, now, when the puppy comes with the ball, you start to take the ball from its mouth. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, let's say 10 times. And suddenly you start to see a little difference in the dog. The dog on the 12th or the 15th retrieve, after some days, will come and stop you. If this is you, it will stop here, it will shake its mouth and go back, or it will sit here. This is because now the dog is thinking, when I come to you with the ball, you take the ball out of my mouth. And now the dog is trying to tell you, I like to do other things also. Now, this is where you must start thinking as a trainer, why? People who don't spend time thinking why, what happened, they will start to contribute more to the exercise by saying, puppy come, come on. Now you are adding more things to your body language. In the initial time, you had to do nothing. You just had to throw, and if you let the puppy go, the puppy would have come happily running to you. But now you have to overcompensate. You have to do actions. You have to offer food, many things. If you only went back to your last 10 days of interaction with the pup, you will understand why, what happened. So a dog which likes to bring you the ball back, it's in its mind, it's not doing a retrieve. In its mind, it is coming to you. But in your mind as a trainer, you're thinking, wow, this is a beautiful retrieve. And now you'll go grab the mouth. You'll grab the ball. You're introducing a conflict in the puppy. Hey guys, I can't see many of you guys on the video. There's no problem. I just want to understand, is my English and my accent understandable by you guys? Please let me know.
Yes.
Okay. Because I may tend to speak a little fast. I can speak slower, or I can continue with the same speed. Just let me know. And I can repeat myself, not a problem. Please just let me know. Don't keep listening. Okay. So if you start understanding why what the puppy did and why the puppy is not doing anymore, you now have a blueprint for training. You'll at least know what you did. And that's very important when you start to train a dog, is that you must have a blueprint. I have 4 puppies with me. Every day I wake up and I write, I'm going to train this behavior. Every day. Because I train my puppies only for 3 minutes a day. And I can play with them later. But training is only 3 minutes a day. For me, my goal is in the 3 minutes, the puppy must be strong in its behavior, must understand the behavior, and must enjoy doing the behavior. That is my only goal. The fact that my puppy is doing a behavior successfully is because my criteria for that training session is fixed. So today I posted a video of my puppy going from one cone to another cone. If I want to make the puppy fail, all I have to do is increase the distance by another 20 feet. If I did that, my puppy will not run 20. I know that. So understand the criteria of each session and ensure that the dog or the puppy is succeeding in that session. Okay, I'm just giving a little background. We are still not talking about the topic. All right. So once you have a blueprint, it becomes very easy for you to start training. Now let's get on to the topic. Okay. The topic that we are talking about today is, okay, direct versus indirect. What is the system? How is the system implemented? And why is the system necessary? We'll get into more details. I also want you to understand. Let me know, can you see the handwriting?
Yes,
Bruce?
yes. Yes, it's readable.
So we all want speed in the behavior. Can anyone tell me, when do you actually start to see speed in the behavior? Speed in the behavior happens only when the dog understands what to do. What is that? Okay. So only when the dog understands the behavior do you see speed in the behavior. The second thing is that you can also see speed when the dog understands where and how to get his reinforcement. If the puppy learns where is the reinforcement and how to get the reinforcement, you will start to see speed in the behavior. So today, we are not going to, because the scope is only direct and indirect, I'm not going to talk about understanding the behavior. Okay, we're going to remove this. This is not the syllabus for today. The syllabus is that we can start to see speed in the behavior when the dog starts to understand where is his reinforcement and how to give it. Can I wipe it off? Somebody give me a thumbs up. Okay. Now, in dog training, the dog must learn two things. Always. This is like the Bible of dog training. The dog must know. The dog must know. Must know. Come, आइए. How to make the reinforcement happen. This is number one. He must know how to make the reward come. He must know. The second thing he must know is what should I mean dog, what should I do to make the pressure stop? He must know what to do to stop this pressure that you are giving him. He must also know what should I do to make you give me the money. Okay. Again, so because this is direct and indirect, we are not going to talk about this. We're not going to talk about this. I'm only telling you so that you have a clear picture of what dog training is. I don't want to give you like half information and then cover it up. Okay. So we're going to talk about this. I'm going to wipe this off now. I actually don't like using screen sharing for presentations because I feel it's more personal when I write and I can tell you what I'm writing. If when I start sharing screen and doing PowerPoint presentations, people are only looking at the PowerPoint presentation. They're not listening and they're not understanding. So I don't know how, how the previous people have been doing presentations. I prefer it this way. I would love to hear some comments whether did you like this particular presentation or do you prefer a PowerPoint at the end of the seminar? Okay. All right. Because there's so much to learn all the time. Okay. Now, before you get into direct and indirect reward, what is the absolute requirement of a dog training? The requirements is your dog must have a cogent. When I say cogent, I mean clear understanding of markers. I'm sure all of you guys are using markers in your training. Okay. Can someone other than Bruce tell me, do you use one marker or do you use more than one marker? Anybody?
I use more than one, sir. 3.
You use 3. Can you tell me what
Yes.
are your 3 markers?
The release marker.
You'll have to reduce your music, man, Arvind. I can't hear music and listen to you.
Continuation marker. And the lastly is a marker for a bad behavior.
Nice.
Excuse me. Sir Johnny, can you please off your microphone if
Johnny, you switch off your microphone and show me a face. I'll be more happy. Okay. Yeah, Johnny. Okay, Arvind, this is interesting. This is not in the syllabus, but since you said it, I want to cover it. Is it okay, Bruce? Can I cover this?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So what's interesting is I have one question for Arvind. Arvind, your continuation marker. What is your continuation marker?
The word good, sir. Good.
Okay. So I have an opinion which is different to this. And with your permission, I'd like to talk about it. Okay. So yeah, release marker. Yeah, we all know what is a release marker. Bad behavior also is something that requires a discussion, and I can talk about it very briefly. But continuation marker is a topic that is actually being discussed in modern doctrine as to how people understand continuation marker and how the dogs understand your continuation marker. So, for example, can you give me an example, Arvind, of a behavior where you use a continuation marker?
Usually, sir, when I am giving a distance behavior, I am using my continuation marker like good.
No,
Even if it
what is the behavior?
just long sit stay or down stay.
Okay, sit. Okay, all right. Do you have a continuation marker for, let's say, heel,
Sir,
heel, or come, come? Do you have a continuation marker? Let's say the dog is 30 feet away from you. You're saying, come. What is your continuation marker?
basically, sir, I only give one command, not always giving like heel, but instead I say heel, and then when he come, good. I just appreciate the dog when he is about to go into the heel position. That's what I do for the continuation marker. Even if I will not give the reward, the good marker itself is the reward, sir. Because after the good is release marker, which is curve or a clicker.
Okay. Let me make this more interesting. A continuation marker is usually never followed by a reward. That is why it's called a continuation marker. Okay. But when we call it a marker, you are trying to tell the dog that what you're doing, I like it, right? So if you want to tell a dog what you're doing, I like it, where is the consequence? How do I as a dog care if you like what I'm doing? What am I getting when you say good? Especially good. So my recommendation would be that continuation marker works best only in stable positions. It does not work in movement positions. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to get up and walk. I have a long earphone. Let me know. Okay, can you guys see me?
Yeah.
All right. So
Yes, sir.
if you have a sit, a long distance sit, your continuation marker should not be good according to me. And I will tell you why. Because the dog is sit, okay? And now you're saying good. And the dog breaks the position. What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Intervene.
No. So what are you going to do? What are you going to say?
Like
So now you're going from continuation marker to Why is there so much confusion? Okay, just okay. Before I give you what I'm going to tell you, I want to first understand Arvind because I don't want to interrupt him. So Arvind is going to say, Arvind is going to say sit. Good. He breaks the sit. Okay, after that, how are you going to make him sit?
I will just mark the behavior good, sir, once, like good. But still, I am far away from here and just standing looking at him and then go back to him if he's not breaking the sit.
No, my question, please understand my question. You are in one place, you cannot move.
Okay.
You've told the dog to sit. The dog is sitting for 3 seconds. You're saying good. Now the dog is slowly breaking the sit. So you're going to first say and then what are you going to do to make him sit?
Go back to the dog and then make him sit again.
Exactly. So which means your continuation marker is no longer a continuation marker. It requires you to go back and help the dog again. What good is that marker? Think about it. Because you're only telling the dog that is wrong. That's okay. I agree with you. But with that information also, how is a dog understanding that means go back and sit? Dog only understood I got up, But what should I do? There is no information to the dog. See, what is marker? Let's go back. Marker means you have now an ability to have a conversation with your dog. You have a language to talk to your dog. And some people trying to develop too many markers, which is very good. But if you develop incorrect multiple markers, it is like me talking to you in Hindi, English, Japanese, and Korean. You'll understand a little bit, you won't understand most of it. So your could be, I didn't like that.
Free na nga rin pala to. And yung board at saka liner.
Okay. Your could be, I didn't like that. But what is a dog understanding what to do next? That is why my recommendation, and feel free to disagree with me, is that I use a continuation marker only in stable position. Sit down, stand, and whatever, be there like a hold, whatever. But my continuation marker is never good. My continuation marker is the repetition of the behavior. So if I tell a dog to sit, my continuation marker will be sit, 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 sit. He tries to break the position, sit. Now it's very clear to the dog, is because I broke the sit. Then I follow it by a continuation marker, sit. So my communication with the dog at all points of time is so clear that sit, 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 click, click, terminal release. Now, why will I not use a continuation marker for heal, let's say, healing? Because, let me again get up. When you do heal, you're moving. So if you keep saying good, 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 the dog is saying, okay, good means what? It means nothing to me. It means nothing to me. And even if you say heal, 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 the dog is already in an active behavior. So if you keep repeating heal, 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 you're actually desensitizing the dog to the command heal because he's already doing heal. So in a movement behaviors, don't repeat. Don't give any continuation marker. The happening of the behavior is itself the behavior. So ideally, you're healing. Like I know a lot of people do. How many of you do single click and double click? How many of you? Okay, again, this is a long conversation. I'm happy to have this conversation. Please tell me. I'm thinking, Arvind, this is what you do. When you're healing, tick, 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 and then tick, tick, food. I'm thinking this is what you do, right? Okay, tell me what you do. When do you use a single click?
That's the time, sir. In healing, I am using the good one marker, which is giving information to the dog that he is doing right. Instead of the click, 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 I am giving the good, good. Then break when it's done. The exercise is done.
Okay, let me ask you this question. The purpose of a continuation marker is to tell the dog whatever you're doing, keep doing. That's the purpose, right? Let's understand the purpose. So if you're doing healing and you are giving a constantly continuation marker to the dog, now logically it will mean that when you don't give a continuation marker, the dog is thinking, oh, should I be doing something else? Does it make sense? So now you're forced to keep saying good, 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 good. Because the moment you stop saying good, the dog thinks this is bad behavior. I want you to think about what I'm saying. See, this is what I'm saying. People have stopped thinking why. People are simply thinking, okay, good, good, good. I'll keep saying good, good. You don't even know if the dog is listening to your good. Because if every day Arvind is name. If I say Arvind, he will talk to me. If I keep saying Mr. Buffoon, Mr. Buffoon, Mr. Buffoon, you stop listening to me because that is not your name, and that there is no value to that name, to the word with you. But if I keep saying Mr. Bad Boy and give you 100 rupees, Mr. Bad Boy and give you 100 rupees, Mr. Bad Boy and I give you 100 rupees, I'm adding value to the word bad boy. So next time when I say Mr. Bad Boy, Arvind will raise his hand because there is a value association to the word. But in a continuation marker, there is no value association with your word. Good means nothing. That is why I'm saying in stable positions, repeat the command. No problem. Because you're telling the dog, sit. Sit. In movement positions, try not, at least think about what I said, that by using a continuation marker, you're also telling the dog that when I don't use a continuation marker, you must do something else because this means something else. Logically. Now, your dog may be doing a fantastic heel when you're saying good, good, good. Then it's time for you to understand or analyze, is my dog simply for doing the behavior or is he doing it better because I said good? Because if your dog is not doing it better when you say good, then stop using words. There are many IGP trainers and I completely respect them, but I want to make a point for your consideration. There are many IGP trainers who believe in great body language. So when a dog says, well, and all that, why? Is that a marker to the dog? Then I don't mind. But if you're giving a marker and are also giving a lot of vocal expression, think about from a dog perspective, what is a dog thinking? Okay, you're very happy. Okay, the dog may understand. Someday you're in the competition, tuck, 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 and the dog comes. You're not doing any expressions. You're not doing wow, super, and the dog is thinking, what happened? How does a dog know he's in a trial condition? He does not know. You practice today, you practice tomorrow in the stadium, and that is a trial ground. How does a dog know that today? Why are you not giving me any feedback? So people must start to think, why am I doing? Am I just copying somebody? Is it monkey see, monkey do? Or are you thinking about what to do? For the same reason that you people, when you do detection work, you must know there are two ways to reward a dog. A dog that is searching in a minefield, you cannot reward the dog directly. You have to call the dog back and give him an indirect reward. So, but if you're not training for the actual mine detection work, you can do whatever you want because there is no why involved. The why comes the moment you identify the purpose. What is the purpose of your training? Is it a hobby training, or is it a specialized training, or is it a training as per a standard of a sport? Make sense? All right, let's go forward. Okay, sorry for the little distraction, but that was very interesting for me to engage also. Of course, bad behavior, I don't want to get into this because how do you add consequences, everything, but if you're doing it, you're doing it. Okay, so we've agreed that a dog must have a very clear understanding of the markers. So once the dog has a clear understanding of a marker, now let's talk about the direct and the indirect. So there are a couple of things. One is the definition of the direct and indirect training reward. Number two would be which method requires the dog to put more energy, which method requires a handler to put more energy. Number three, which system, let me just sit down, please. Which system, you can see, right? Which system encourages creativity in the dog? Bruce, I hope you can see my handwriting here.
Yes,
Number
yes,
4.
it's clear.
What are the pros? What are the pros and cons of each system, direct and indirect? Next, number 5. This is very interesting. At what stage the difference between the direct and indirect is clear, and at what stage the difference between the direct and the indirect becomes blurred? The last one is, what is the object? What is the object of using direct and indirect? What is your object? Why are you doing direct? Why are you even having this webinar? What is the object of direct? Okay. So, can I wipe it out, Bruce?
Yes, yes, you can.
So this is what I said, why? Why is very important. Otherwise, anybody can teach dog training. In fact, I know of many good IGP world champions who have come to India, and I say this from personal experience. When they teach anything from their experience, because they're world champions, they're mostly instructional. When I say instructional, they will say, do this, then you do this, then you do this, and you do this. Because that's what they did. Because that's what they did with their puppy. Question is, my puppy is not your puppy. Number 1. I have an adult dog, which is not a puppy. I have a dog which has certain bad manners. I have a dog which is slightly scared. I have a dog which doesn't have food drive. What do I do? How does your system, the world champion system, address my problem? You know what the answer is? Get another puppy. Most of them say this because I want to tell you, the Philippines, India, we all come in the South Asian subcontinent. Europeans are very clinical and surgical in their emotions. They practice sports like how sports should be practiced. If the dog is not ready, change the dog, get another dog. There, I will not say they don't have emotions. I will say they have a very clear purpose. I want to compete. I want a dog which is ready to be competed. In the South Asia, dogs are a part of our culture. Our mythology has dogs in our stories. Right from the Ramayana, Mahabharata, and any stories, South Asian mythological stories, we have dogs. A dog comes into our home, we have to take the dog with all his faults and his liabilities. And we have to make that work. So when you start to follow an instructional method, do this, do this, do this, your dog will always fail in that instructional method. Because your dog didn't come prepared with the instruction booklet. You have to train him. So if you may have a dog that doesn't like food, how the hell are you going to train him tracking? Because if you go by the European method, your dog must love food so that he puts his nose in the grass and starts tracking. So think about it. When you start to follow instruction method, there are so many challenges. Instead, you can now find out how to make this dog track. Maybe he doesn't require food. Maybe he's not a prey-driven dog. Then how do you make a dog track? So there are many challenges that you face when you're training with a dog of your choice. So the instruction booklet always thinks of the perfect dog. Okay, back to the... Okay, so now definition. Does anybody have a basic understanding of what is direct and indirect? I just like one answer. Somebody? Anybody has an answer? or has an understanding of what is direct and indirect? Okay. Sometimes no answer is also a good answer. It's better to be silent than to make noise. Okay. So direct, the classical definition of a direct reward is the dog is pursuing the reward. Because he's pursuing the reward, the behavior happens. Luring. The dog is chasing the food, and therefore you're getting a healing. Make sense? This is direct reward. Indirect reward is the dog is pursuing the behavior, B for behavior. The dog is pursuing the behavior, and because he pursues a behavior, reward or food happens. Example, free shaping. Luring. Free shaping. All right. Now, another simpler way to understand direct and indirect is in the direct reward, the dog can see the reward. He can see. In the indirect reward, he cannot see. I'm starting with very simple definitions. These definitions becomes a little more complicated as you keep going forward. But to begin with, start to understand this way. All right. But you know what is common between direct and indirect? Is that the dog must want reward. He must want the reward. Even in indirect reward, he must want the reward. He must want it. Now, how to build this must is also another part of dog training. We're not going to get into that. Okay. Because if the dog does not want here and or if it does not want here, you're not going to get this thing. Next. Can I wipe it out? Somebody just, okay, wiping it.
Yes.
I've got some videos which I'll share, but I just first want to give you a little bit of theoretical understanding because I strongly believe that if you understand a little bit of theory, when you see a video, you will not clap. You will first analyze. How is this video happening? How is this exercise happening so fast? You start to think. And to me, that is a goal of every one of my webinars and my classes is to make you guys think and analyze it. All right. Next is that, okay, what is the benefits and cons, the pros and cons of direct and indirect reward? Okay. Pros and cons of using this system. It's now in the direct reward, DR, direct reward, indirect reward. Okay. In the direct reward, because you're using food all the time as a primary area, it builds focus. Focus on what? On food. But you're still getting focus. In the indirect reward system, it builds focus on the behavior that makes the food happen. That is why when you do luring, you can do a lot of things because the dog is just chasing like a rat. But when you're doing free shaping, the dog is struggling to understand what should I do to make you click. So he's focusing on what behavior I need to do. Should I hold? Should I out? Should I sit? Should I bark? In a certain setting. He's always thinking, what do I need to do to make you click? So he's focusing on the behaviors. Now, because this, what happens is that, let me just write it out here. Because the dog is now focusing on the behavior in free shaping, you will always see struggle. You will see slight confusion in the beginning. But believe me, a lot of people who look at the struggle and the confusion, they think that you are not training well. Most people think. But believe me when I say this, if a dog struggles to understand what behavior made the food happen, that understanding becomes really solid. Because now the dog says, fuck you, I know what to do. In luring, you're always saying, please follow me, please follow me. And the dog is like very happily following you. So the struggle in learning depends on how much of skill set do you use. Do you make the dog struggle for 8 minutes or 8 seconds? What is the behavior that you want your dog to do in 8 seconds, and what is the behavior you're trying to teach the dog that takes him 8 minutes? Is the dog ready to struggle for 8 minutes, or will the dog give up struggling after 7 minutes? Then you're a bad trainer. Because now you're saying, I'm going to sit on a chair and I want you to do pick up an object, go far away, put it in a bucket and come back to me. And the dog is like, but you never taught me these things. But in luring, you can teach the dog very easily. The question is, in luring, has the dog understood? But that's another topic. Or in luring, at what stage does the dog make the association between what am I doing and why am I doing and why is the food coming? He takes some time to make an association. Okay. So, but in this, the beauty in this is that the dog struggles because he has hope. If you don't know how to build hope in the dog, you simply stick to luring. Building hope in a dog is one of the most skillful training methodology. Your dog must believe every time you take him out of the crate that I am going to get food. And not only am I going to get food, I think I know how can I get the food? The hope must be there. If the struggle is, I have a formula. If this is struggle, the formula is the struggle should always be less than hope. Then you get a good behavior. If the struggle is more than hope, the behavior does not happen. Okay, just remember this formula. So now let me just share a video to see, based on this video, what do you guys understand? Can I share? Bruce, have you given me the permission to share?
Yes, you can share.
Okay. So I have to, how do I go to my this thing? It's all showing. Just one second. Share screen. Okay. Okay, share my screen. Okay, I'm going to open my, yeah. Okay, so can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So
Yes,
this
sir.
was this was an old video. I want you to understand, looking at the video, is this a direct or an indirect reward, and why? Don't read my caption. My captions are wrong. I'll tell you right now. Because as I'm reading every day, I know some mistakes that I've done. So I'm going to play the first video. Where is the food? Am I luring the dog? Where is the food? Okay. Next video. Same exercise. Yeah. The food is here. All right. Can somebody tell me on this? What are we doing here? Which is a direct and which is indirect reward? Don't read the captions. Even if you read the captions, you'll never understand the answer. So according to my interpretation, the food is in my pocket. But just because the food is in my pocket does not mean the dog knows where the food is, or am I going to give him the food? He's doing the behavior with the hope that I will give him the reward. To me, this is really the indirect reward system. Because you can see my hands are in the pocket. It's not even in the pocket actually. I'm just putting my hands on the waist. My dog is just doing the behavior and you can see where his eyes are. His eyes are on the behavior. He's looking between my legs. He's looking between my legs. He's not trying to look where is the food with you. Whereas in the second video, where the food is really kept away from the dog, you can see that the dog is doing the behavior, looking at the food. Every time he turns, he's looking at the food. Every time he turns, he's looking at the food. He's waiting to be released. This is really the direct reward. He's looking at the food and doing it, looking at the food and doing it. Think about it. When I made this video, I gave the wrong captions and nobody corrected me because everybody is looking at the videos. Because in their mind, wow, it's a beautiful video. But I'm thinking, why was my dog looking there and why is my dog not looking anywhere else in the first video? So in the first video, you can see the dog is completely focused. It builds concentration. Okay, next video. Okay, no, this is an exercise I want to teach you guys a little later. Hold on, I want to move this. How do I move this thing? Okay, I can see. Okay, this. Okay, I want to show you. Hold on. Yeah, this is an example of direct reward. This is Kaiser. So I'm doing a box training here. And see, you can see the food. So I just put all the food in the box and my dog is eating. This is box training, but don't focus on the box. Look at the interpretation of direct reward. So right now, the dog is eating. He's chasing the food. He's chasing the food. And slowly, as I go forward, you can see, you can see somewhere here. It's a long video. Please go back and see my video. You can see I'm hitting all the bells and everything else. I'm trying to distract him. But nothing is working because he's already in the behavior. Because the box is full of food. Like I told you earlier, both in direct and indirect reward, the dog must want what you give him as a reward. So clearly, Kaiser wants a reward and he's fully into the behavior. Now I'm going to show another video of where the dog is doing without the food in the box. And because he puts his head in an empty box, he gets a food. That's, I think, Kasturi, I think. Hold on. Yeah. So this, look at this. I'm using something else. See, right? I'm using an indirect reward system. And here you can see the dog puts a head in an empty box. She gets food outside the box. She goes and puts her head into, it's an empty box, by the way. She gets the food. I'm using a remote. The dog has figured out what should I do to make the food happen. See, it's an empty box. This is the power of indirect reward system. Because the dog now figures out, I mean, otherwise, why will a dog go put a head into an empty box? I mean, it makes no sense. But if I started putting food into the box, obviously the dog will eat from the box, no problem. But when I start to train this behavior, now I don't even have to touch the dog. I don't have to physically influence the dog. I can be away from the dog. In fact, the dog is not even looking at me as much as the dog should look at me. The dog is like, okay, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? You can see the struggle. And only when I get the whole head into the box, I press the machine and the dog gets the food. Indirect. Now, okay, this is a perfect example of direct and indirect. In one exercise, you can see. Guys, can you see the screen sharing, na?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll tell you
Yes,
this
sir.
exercise. Yeah, I'll tell you what this exercise is. This exercise is basically, I've sent my Kasturi with, I think she's carrying a pipe in her mouth. Okay. So I've sent Kasturi with a pipe in her mouth, and the goal of the exercise is that you must go away from me. There is a little shopping cart. Put your head in the bucket which is in the shopping cart. So what do? I want to make it a direct reward first. So there is already food in that bucket. You will see when I play the video, the dog goes with the pipe, puts the pipe into the bucket, eats, direct reward, and then I tell the dog, pick it up. The dog picks up the pipe and comes back to me, and I click and I reward, indirect reward. So I'm getting two behaviors in one exercise with no handler influence. I'm going to play the video. The dog is going with the pipe in its mouth. You can see she puts her head into the carton. She eats food. She picks up the pipe, comes back to me. I click and I give food. I used the same training methodology when I trained this dog to go deliver some food and bring back food. There's a longer video. See? You can now see speed. You can see speed because the dog understands what to do. All right. Okay. This is a very good system. I know you've seen all of this, but I want to explain it in this concept. So here, I bring the dog straight to where the food is. And everybody will think, oh no, even I can do this. If the food is there, my dog will go after the food. No problem. Because the dog is actively doing the behavior, you can see the saliva. I click, terminal marker comes back. This is an indirect reward system, though I took the dog as if it's a direct reward system. The dog thought, I'll crawl, and I'll get to eat from the food. But I click because my...
Are you a virgin?
Huh?
Okay. Now see the same video in a different concept. Yeah, this. This is direct reward. The dog is looking at the food. All the time the dog is looking at the food and then he gets to eat. I'll play it again. So the dog is looking at the food. I ask for a behavior. The behavior is happening, but the behavior is happening because the dog is literally looking at the food. Don't get confused when I tell you dog is chasing the food in direct reward. Chasing is not always a forward movement. It can be a backward movement also. Basically, it's a movement triggered by the sight of the food. I can ask you to come front. I can ask you to go back. I can ask you to come front. I can ask you to go back. I can ask you to lure. I can ask you to do this. All this is direct reward. The interesting thing is you must look where the dog's eyes are. That will tell you what the dog is thinking. Am I in the direct or indirect reward? Watch now. Okay. Comes down. He's not looking at me. Looking at the food. Yes. Okay. One more I want to show before I move to... Okay. Now a question for you guys. Look at the video. It's a very short video. Tell me, is this a direct or an indirect reward system? Anybody? Just give me any answer. I'm okay with any answer. I just want to know, are you guys even thinking?
Indirect.
Don't give me an answer. I need a reason. The whole idea is to make you think. Why do you think it's direct? I can argue it's indirect, and I believe, I strongly believe, if I say something, you will believe it. I want you to be able to think, why is it direct, why not indirect, or why is it indirect and not direct. I will tell you what the behavior is happening. There is a muzzle in my hand. The dog is putting the head in the muzzle, and then I mark it and I give the food. I give the ball. It's a very short video. Tell me. Should I play it again? One last time?
For me, it's direct.
No, I want answers. Not
Sir, I'll go with direct.
okay. One more.
The reward is visible.
Yes, sir. I
Can see the
second
reward.
emotion to Sir Bruce.
Can you tell me why?
As being shown in the video, sir, the reward there is the ball, while the behavior is putting the muzzle on. So the dog can see the ball. That's why, according to your discussion, direct should be seen or visible to the dog. So I believe it's direct reward.
All right, let me stop this sharing, come back to you guys. Okay. Now, this is when I said that there are times when the lines between direct and indirect gets blurred. Because one way of looking at it is that the dog is looking at the ball, direct report, and the behavior of the muzzle. This is actually a very classic case for direct. But why is it indirect is, only if he puts his head in the muzzle does he get the reward. Unless if he does not put his head in the muzzle, he does not get the reward. So the behavior is making the reward happen. But I'll tell you why it's direct. And I have to agree with Arvind and Dioncio. It becomes direct only for one reason, because the dog can see the reward. So I'm glad you said the right answer, but I want you to think. Otherwise, I could have argued indirect and I could have convinced you in 2 minutes. The whole idea is that you must have a reason as to why you're saying it. Okay, so here also the behavior happened, looking at the ball, but the reward came only after the behavior happened. So direct and indirect ka dono components hai. But because he could see, this is a direct. All right, let's go forward. Okay, so you saw in the box video, the first day the dog ate from the box, direct reward. The second day, different dog, of course, but if it's even the same dog, the second day when he goes and puts his head in an empty box and you give the reward, it becomes indirect, because the dog is now making the behavior happen and telling you, give me my food. So it doesn't matter whether you give the food at the DNS, direct at source or away from source. It doesn't matter. The dog's behavior made the food happen, indirect reward. Okay. Now I want to ask you a question. Because you guys, I know IGP is also very big in Philippines. I know a lot of people follow IGP. There are a lot of trainers who, even on competition day, you will see them doing this. Before they enter that little entry into the stadium, we'll do this and give the ball to the friend and they'll enter the stadium. Do you know why they do that? Because they want the dog to believe the ball is still in the armpit. Okay. Now, I have something to say here. At some point of time in your training, you must ask yourself, am I and my dog, are we both in the same system? That means, am I giving the ball to you as a direct reward? And is the dog taking it as a direct reward? Or am I going to give the ball as an indirect reward? And are you also going to take an indirect reward? Let me explain to you. In the beginning, when we teach healing, we put the ball, we keep going, and the dog does 2-3 healing, you drop the ball, right? That's how traditionally most people teach healing. So I'm going to stand up and show you. So the ball is here, you're walking, and the dog is looking at the ball, but you're getting a good heel position. Tuck, you give the reward, direct reward, direct reward, direct reward. Now, after some time, with a lot of repetitions, you put the ball, you're going, and the dog gives you an eye contact, and it's a wow, tuck, you give it. Now, what is this? What is this? What just happened? Was it indirect or direct? It is indirect because your goal of the exercise is an eye contact. But you still think my dog is looking at the ball. But the dog actually looked at your eyes. And that's when you delivered the ball. So you're constantly thinking that I'm walking, and my dog is looking, but looking here. You don't know where exactly is he looking, whether is he looking at the sky, or is he looking at the ball, or is he trying to look at your eyes. But you will give the reward. So that is why most good trainers, even when at IGP3 level, they will walk into the stadium with the ball underneath, thinking that their dog is still looking for the ball. But the dog has stopped looking at the ball at the armpit. The dog knows, I look at your eyes, you will give me a reward. So this is why I said, you must know at some point of time, you and your dog, are you guys in the same system or in different systems? This is why you need to have a theoretical understanding. Otherwise, it doesn't care. You go onto the trial field, nobody wants to know which methodology you and your dog is in. They say beautiful healing, 20 out of 20. But the point is that if you're going to be in the teaching area, if you want to teach other people, or if you want to teach your second dog, third dog, it helps build speed if you know where you are and where your dog is. Why should I put the ball here and pretend to take the ball like this? Is my dog a fool that he does not know that there is no ball? If dogs can smell drugs in big containers, can't the dog smell that there is no ball here? Because we need to know, and we need to get out of the direct reward system, because the dog has gotten out of the direct reward system. But we are not educated enough to understand where the dog and how the dog is thinking. Okay, now, so again, we were talking about pros and cons. Let me just finish that before I take any questions. So yeah, pros and cons. So if you're in the direct reward system, it is very easy to implement. So if anybody knows the technique of teaching healing, by putting a ball under the armpit, anybody can teach healing, because it is very easy to implement. And because it is very easy to implement, you see desired behavior. B for behavior. You see the desired behavior happen really fast. In 2 days, your dog will be healing. Or you think. But the action will be there. Okay. I'm getting this phone call. Okay. All right. Why does the desired behavior happen easily? Because there is no struggle. The dog does not have to struggle. You put the food here or you put the ball here, the dog is following you. Now, because the desired behavior happened very easily, and the dog genuinely believes there is a ball under your armpit, every time you tell the dog heel and you simply do this, your left arm, the behavior keeps happening. And because the behavior keeps happening, it becomes very difficult or very hard to stop the behavior. So now, okay, guys, somebody. PSSDG, your mic is on. Yeah, okay. So because let's say your dog is constantly used to the ball, after some time, unless you put the ball, you won't get the behavior. But if you put the ball, the dog will stand in the behavior. This is what I say. It becomes difficult to remove the dog. So if you stand here, you will see many trainers when they stand like this, like a half bodybuilder. They stand like this, even though there is no ball, because the dog has gotten fixed to that. So it becomes very difficult to push the dog. Like when I taught Kaiser, I don't have the video for sharing right now. So when I taught Kaiser heel, I taught him so well, he became obsessed. He will come out of the kennel, he will come into the heel position. He'll come into the heel position. Many times, like I didn't want him in the heel position, but he'll come in the heel position. It became a default behavior. That is why I started implementing the opposite behavior. So now I've taught my dog right side heel, left side heel. So that now, whatever behavior happens, it happens on command, not default behavior. Like I will tell you what is the meaning of default behavior. In your home, if you have children, they will never hold your hand because they want to be independent running around. But when you go to a new market, new place, suddenly your child will hold hand. It's a default behavior. So whenever my dog used to get confused and I say, Kaju, stop it, whatever, he will come into a heel. Because he thought, oh, this is a great position because I always get reward. That's why very soon, even with his puppies and my every other dog, I started the concept of opposite behavior. So now I say heel, then I say foos. Foos is for me right heel. I introduce foos little late. So heel, foos, heel, whatever. Now the behavior is in my control. Okay. Now, last point in direct reward is because it's easy to implement, because the desired behavior happens easily, you will start to see speed. But speed only in the presence of lure. Okay. Now, let's look at indirect reward. With the indirect reward, what happens is, because the dog is always struggling to understand what is a behavior, any behavior you want to teach will be very slow to implement. Unless you know the concept of aquarium, you know the concept of proper free shaping, unless you know clicker shaping, unless you understand the principles of successive approximation, any behavior you try to teach in indirect reward system will always be slow to implement. This is why puppy foundation is very important. What to teach a puppy in the beginning is very important. But once the dog starts to understand what is an indirect reward system, if a dog learns some behavior, that behavior will last a very long time. You can see my puppies. In fact, I posted a video today and I posted yesterday and day before yesterday. At young age of 3 months, they're running to the cone and coming back on their own. Many times like a default behavior, literally like a default behavior. Look at the speed. Because I taught them through free shaping, I taught them through indirect reward system. Okay. Now, because you're struggling, the puppy is all the time struggling to understand what is the right behavior, he will start to build focus and concentration. Focus on what is making the reward happen. Concentration, how to make the reward happen by doing what kind of an exercise. Last point. This is a theory, and theory there is a lot to learn. So I will take another 10 minutes before I start taking questions. So I'm sorry if it's getting a little late, little longer, but I feel that if I'm going to touch a topic, I want to just do complete justice to the topic. So if anybody is getting late, I'm sorry for this. All right. So. Now, in a direct reward and an indirect reward, what happens is, if you're going to be doing a direct reward system, you will always have to be the active handler. And your dog will always be a reactive dog, which means in direct reward, DR, which means if you want to teach a recall in a direct reward system, you will have to do active. You have to be active. And then the dog will say, okay, what do you have for me? Let me see. But when you do an indirect reward system, the dog will be active and you will be a reactive handler. So if you've seen any of my puppy videos, you will not see me doing any body languages. All the time the puppy is doing something and then I'm clicking. The puppy is saying, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to run to the phone? Do you want me to search for something? Do you want me to pick something? Only when they do the activity, I react. So the actions of the puppy makes me react. Otherwise, I don't react. So this is one of the things you must remember in direct reward system and indirect reward system. Okay, but now I want to confuse everybody. This is not the confusion, but people who understand this will take some time to understand. And this is my last sentence. The goal of every exercise, the final goal of every exercise is that the dog must be in what? Somebody wants to say something? Direct or indirect? What should I write here? The goal of every successful exercise should be dogs must be in. Any answers? I just want one answer. Direct or indirect? Say something. And I'll ask you why. You guys can't be thinking so much. Okay, Arvind, come on. I can see you jumping up. Hey, don't be shy. You have to talk something.
Can you repeat the question, sir?
My question is, let us say you've taught a behavior perfectly well. Do you want that behavior ultimately at the last stage of the behavior, the perfect behavior, should that behavior be in a direct reward or an indirect reward system?
In indirect reward system, it should be, sir.
Why?
Because I want the dog to be active and I'll be the one to be reactive.
Anybody else wants to give me another answer before I give the correct answer? Or I give you the reasons for the correct answer? Anybody? Bruce, come on. You be the scapegoat.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Tell me.
Yeah. For me, the goal is for indirect.
Okay.
system.
I knew everybody's going to say this. And the correct answer is the successful exercise should be in the direct reward. I'm going to repeat it again. The successful exercise should be in the direct reward, and here is the reason why. The goal of every successful exercise is that the puppy must find or the dog must find reward in doing the behavior. The behavior must become the reward. Every time the dog is going to do a behavior and say, give me my reward, then the dog is not enjoying the reward, enjoying the behavior. Does it make sense?
Yes.
But to reach to that stage, you have to go direct, indirect, direct, indirect, direct, indirect, and then one day wait and see, is my dog doing it happily? If the dog is doing a certain behavior happily, he does not need any reward. The happiness is in doing the behavior. So today when I take my Kaiser out of the kennel, he will happily do heel, left, right, forward. I mean, all my videos that you see of Kaiser, he's doing it happily. I may be giving reward because I want to finish giving him a reward. But if I didn't give him a reward, he will still go back happily. That should be the goal of every exercise. All right. Now, with that sentence, I want to formally conclude the presentation. As you understood, learning dog training is not simply about learning exercises. Anybody can teach you an exercise. Anybody can teach you a behavior. Because teaching a behavior, teaching exercise does not require why. It requires how to do this, how to make the dog do this. But if you really want to understand why is his dog happy, why is my dog not happy, why is his dog healing perfect, why is my dog not healing perfect, both of us are using same Royal Canine, both of us are giving food, then the answer lies in why. You must spend time, and just not direct and indirect. The whole concepts of training, requires first a theoretical understanding. when you understand how to train, the understanding is an element of science. That's why very good trainer, I don't want to take his name, but a very good trainer will say, dog training is a science and an art. Science is how you understand to train. Art is how you perform. So when you see a video, you're seeing an art. But when that person is training the dog, he's training it in the science. Okay. So think about this. I will do this because I just want to give a little idea about what I do. So I offer this course called Ekalavya Foundation Course. And I called it Ekalavya because I wanted it to be a self-study wherein you learn, you understand, and you practice. So just like Dronacharya kind of was not there, but he was there as a statue, that is how people that you admire should be in your system. You should look at them from far, you should admire them from far, but ultimately you should be able to learn, understand, and practice. Concentration should be your guru. Practice should be your friend. You can't forever keep asking people, how do I do? What do I do? They will only tell you what and how. They will never tell you why, because they themselves don't know why. So there are these courses. You can reach out to Bruce. I will give the details to the Bruce. These are all 15-hour courses. Mostly I do courses one-on-one. This is, in fact, I want to thank Bruce. This is my first international webinar. I've never believed that you can teach a group successfully, because in a group, there are different levels of people. So you don't know, should I be talking to the last person or should I be talking to the highest person in terms of understanding? Okay. You can reach out to Bruce or me much after this webinar. I'll be happy to share details. In the meantime, questions, please. Anybody, any questions on the topic that you've spoken, I would happily clarify. So,
Sir,
yeah.
Can I be the one to ask the question first?
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been waiting for this moment, sir. No, I've been following your videos on YouTube, and there is really one thing that intrigues me with your video. How do you charge your marker, sir? Because one time I saw your video, your dog is eating already. I guess that was Kasturi. He was still a puppy then, and then you just click the clicker, and then he was like just crazy running towards you in the room. And I was thinking, how did you charge that? The dog is already eating. We already have the reward itself. But when you click the marker, he come towards you. That's the question that I would like to ask. How did you charge the clicker?
So firstly, that was not Kasturi, that was Kasturi's child. Kasturi came to me at 2.5 years old. And in fact, if you go back to my Facebook, you will see Kasturi when she came to me. There's a 10-minute video. I want everybody to go look at that video. If people haven't seen that video, I will provide the link to Bruce. There's a 10-minute video of Kasturi. I purchased her at 2.5 years old. When she came to me, you will not believe the dog. She was afraid of clicker. If I click, she would shake. The same dog. If I gave her something to hold, she would run away. If I put food in her mouth, beef, she would drop it because she was afraid to eat food in my presence. If you threw a ball, she would run in the opposite direction. All these videos I made for first 10 days, I was thinking, my God, I wasted money. Okay. Because when I purchased the dog, they sent me very good pictures. I said, wow, it's a beautiful dog. I was looking for a female dog for my Kaiser. And I said, shit, I want a dog. Because in India, we don't have too many Weimaraners. In fact, I'm the only person in India to have 8 Weimaraners. Nobody has. And that is why I don't sell so many puppies. Even this time when I had 9 puppies, I only sold 4. I sold 5, but I kept 4. Because I want to make sure that I train them, and then, I like this breed, so I want to make sure that a good pup remains with me. Anyway, coming back to the story. So I documented Kasturi. It is there on the Facebook, on my page. 10 minutes video. And then I told myself, if I'm a trainer, I'm going to change this dog. This dog was afraid to even hold something. And I don't know how many people have seen that video where I trained her for one product. One food company had come to me called Dog Spot. So I give something to Kasturi sitting in this room, and Kasturi runs 350 feet away to my gate. She gives that envelope to somebody, and that person gives the food packet. The dog brings the food packet to me. There's nobody in between. It's a beautiful behavior just to watch. And you should see her in the box training, like even the hold. She's the first dog in India to do a Bringsel hold. Does anybody know what is a Bringsel hold? Bringsel, Bringsel hold. So Bringsel hold is a behavior that is taught to a search and rescue dogs. So about 5 years ago or even 10 years ago, the traditional search and rescue dogs were that if you are lost somewhere, I come with my search and rescue dog, I leave my dog free. My dog runs, and looks for you. When it finds you, it will start barking. Wow, 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 wow. Right? That's how search and rescue dog is. And then the handler comes running behind and then they'll rescue you, and that's how it is. But statistics showed that when a child below 10 to 15 years old were lost in the forest, 2 days, no food, no water, hungry, tired, scared, suddenly a big German Shepherd comes and starts barking at the child. The trauma that the child felt in being rescued was too much. Then the dog trainer started thinking, we are not rescuing the child, we are terrorizing the child by sending a strange German Shepherd or a Malinois or whatever, whichever dog, and barking at the dog, barking at the child. Because remember, the handler is away. It's a leash. There is no leash on the dog when it goes search and rescue. So now they started coming up with a new philosophy of search and rescue through Bringsel hold. So a Bringsel hold is on the dog collar, there is something hanging like a leather. The dog goes searching, and it finds Bruce. The moment it finds Bruce, it does not say anything. It will do this. It itself will hold and it will run back to the handler. When it runs back to the handler says, oh, you found Bruce. He takes away the leather strap and he says, now show me Bruce. Then they again go running after Bruce. So what is a command for the dog to pick up? There is no command because Bruce is hungry. Bruce is tired. Bruce is a small child. He cannot command a dog. Hold. The command is the presence of a human is the tactical cue to the dog to do this behavior. Do you guys understand what I said? It's okay. So for example, so I have taught Kasturi and Cooper to do a Bringsel hold when it finds the right smell. So you guys do indication. So when you find the odor, your dog sits or barks or downs. When my dogs find the odor, Richard, I think your mic. So when Kasturi finds the odor, the Kasturi does not sit. The Kasturi will pick it up. And that's when I click. So Kasturi learns Bringsel hold is the bridge to the clicker. Now coming to your answer, clicker conditioning. Now clicker conditioning is something that I do very early on because I strongly believe that if your pups don't have a strong reflexive response, don't teach any behaviors. Like I will never teach a dog any behavior till my dog understands what is a clicker response. In fact, yesterday I posted a video. Somebody asked me a question. One of my students asked me a question. Sir, how do I know that your dog is simply running to the cone with or without command? Because the dog loves the behavior. Behavior is self-rewarding. So I said, I'm going to show you a clicker response. So I made the dog go 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And then as it was running, I clicked halfway. The dog stopped and came back. That is clicker response. So until you get that kind of a response, you don't train any behaviors. Why? Because when you mark through a clicker, you're marking a moment in time. For example, if Arvind is scratching his nose, I want him to understand scratching his nose is the behavior that I want. I must be able to mark it at the right minute. Now the question is, once I mark it, what do you get out of it? You must suddenly feel, really? I got 1 million rupees. I got 1 million rupees. That is how I want you to think. If you don't think like that, then you will scratch here, you scratch here, you say, fuck you. I need the dog to say, oh my God, I won 1 million rupees. Okay, we have a lot of exercises. We teach a lot in my Ekalavya Foundation course. But yeah, that's the long answer to your very short question. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Is the definition of that direct reward and indirect reward originally yours, or did you base it somewhere
No, no,
or
no.
someone?
I'm sorry. Nothing I taught here is my own. It is all an interpretation of the existing science. People don't read. It is an existing philosophy of many trainers. But people should understand how to use it. That makes it more important. It is not important who said it. Everybody knows Pavlov's classical conditioning. Everybody knows it. But was Pavlov really training dogs? No. But why are we still using classical conditioning? He used classical conditioning to get a saliva out of a dog because Pavlov was trying to find out the digestive juices of a dog. To examine a digestive juice of a stomach of a dog, he wanted an unadulterated saliva. He could not get an uncontaminated saliva because every saliva had food in it. So he wanted to get a pure saliva. That is why by hook and crook he was doing something. He stumbled upon this association and that became classical conditioning. But he was not into training dogs. It's a philosophy, it's a theory which is applicable to us. People who disagreed with classical conditioning, they came with a second conditioning called Skinner's. Skinner came with operant conditioning. They disagreed with classical conditioning because the principle of classical conditioning was that in classical conditioning, dog has zero free will. Dog has only reflexive response. He's not thinking. So people said, no, dogs can think. Dogs know what is good for them, what is bad for them. And then they came up with an operant conditioning. Then they came up with two kinds of reinforcements, two kinds of punishments, blah, 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 blah. But we use them in our training today. Skinner was not a world champion. Nobody knows Skinner training. Nobody's even seen any video of Skinner training a dog. Next question.
Another one.
Yeah.
So, I've encountered reward from RFS method, reward from source method, and reward not from source method.
Yes.
So it is different from the direct system and indirect system you're talking about.
No, I'm very happy that you asked me this question because I thought about it and I'm happy that you addressed it. So it gives me an opportunity to talk about it. See, reward at source, reward away from source is basically the presentation of the reward, the placement of the reward. When you reward a dog at source, when you reward a dog away from source, you're only giving the reward in two different places. The concept of direct and indirect reward is the why. Why are you doing direct reward? Why are you doing indirect reward? If I ask you, why are you rewarding at source? Why are you rewarding away from source? You will say that is two ways to reward a dog. But when you reward at source, you are building stability in the behavior, right? When you reward at source, you don't need to click. You can say, like I do with Cooper. When Cooper goes tracking, he finds an object. I walk up to the object and I reward at source of the behavior. I'm rewarding it. But how did I teach the dog to go and sit there? Through direct reward system. Every time the dog sat, reward, tuck, reward, tuck, reward, tuck, reward. Because I wanted the dog to be stable in the position, I do a direct reward. Direct reward concept is how you deliver the reward and why you deliver the reward. When you say reward at source and reward away from source, it only tells me as an outsider how you gave the reward, not why you gave the reward. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's I understand.
Any questions, guys? Any
Do you have questions? Any questions?
No?
I think there's no more questions. Or maybe there's just thinking for questions.
Yeah, no, take your time because, like I said again, when you do webinars which are purely theoretical, people are expecting to go back with some tricks. They'll say, okay, what can I get out of this webinar? What new trick can I learn? So when you start teaching people tricks, what happens is when you start teaching people tricks, what happens is that people stop paying attention to what is the theory, and that's where the problem is.
So, sir, question. Good day.
Sorry, say that again.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, tell me.
Hello, sir, I have a question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Between we mentioned different two types of reward. In every reward, is there any specific exercise that will
I'm so
fit?
sorry. I'm so sorry. I forgot to share a video. I'm so happy that you asked the question. Okay, guys. Okay.
Jaguar, please turn off your mic.
Okay. I'm so sorry. Yeah, the exercise is this. This is a very basic exercise. You guys can learn how to do this at home. Who are you? EOD. What's your name?
My name is Leonard, sir.
Thank you so much. Because this question and what I'm going to show now would have been incomplete if you not reminded me. So thank you for that. So we have an exercise called the triangle. Guys, pay attention and please ask me questions now on this, because this is something you can go back and learn. So you stand in a triangle. So let's say you're here. H for handler. D for dog. Can you guys see this? Or should I push this?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. H for handler, D for dog, and this, let's say we'll call it as a place command. Place. Now I know at least this much training you have done with your dogs, that if you say place, your dog can go to the place. Okay. So what can we do is that to teach direct and indirect reward of that, you are standing here, your dog is here, and at an equal distance there is a place command. The first exercise you can do, please make notes because I can't write everything here. When your dog is sitting here, you tell your dog, look at me. When your dog looks at you, click, click, he comes running. Direct reward. Okay. When he comes here with you, you can also tell him place command where there's already some food. Okay, if you guys have manners minders, you can do this exercise even better. The machine that I have. Okay. So let's say there is food, or there can be one more person who's standing here. I don't care. He can be a helper. He can have food in his pocket, but not food holding. So when the dog comes here, you tell the dog, look there, whatever your command, place, decoy, helper, whatever. If the dog looks at him, you send the dog to him and the helper pays the money, pays the food, again direct reward. All right. Now your second repetition, again puts the dog here. Let me get another, I don't have another sketch pen. Let me get a blue sketch pen, hold on. Yeah. So the second repetition, your dog is here. You tell your dog, look at me. He looks at you because he knows exercise. And then you tell your dog to look at the plate. Assuming he knows to look at the place. When he's looking at the place, thinking that he's going to run to the place, you click, click, and the dog should come back to you. So now you've indirectly rewarded the dog for looking at the place. So far, any questions before I go forward? Did everybody understand the first repetition? So first repetition is look at me, come to me, click, look at me. The dog is looking at you. You're showing the food, looking at me, click, click. The dog comes to you, direct reward. You can also tell the dog, look at my helper or look at the food machine. If he's looking at the food machine, you release him, he gets fed. Somebody gives him food or the machine gives him food, direct reward. Second repetition, you tell your dog, look at me. He looks at you. Then you tell your dog, look at the machine. Look at the helper. The dog looks at the helper. Because he's looking at the helper, you have two choices. You can say yes and give him a direct reward, or you can do click, click. He comes back to you, indirect reward. So here, the dog is learning, even though the food is with Kashi, looking at the helper will make Kashi click, indirect reward. Second, looking at Kashi, and when Kashi clicks coming at you, direct reward. Does it make sense?
Nakapasok ka na?
Yes, Jerome? Jerome, you have something to say? Okay.
No.
Sorry. So the next thing you can do to Arvind, your clicker response. You tell the dog, look at the food again. He's looking at the food. And then you can say, okay, or yes, whatever is your release marker. As the dog is running, if your clicker is conditioned properly, halfway you can click and the dog will come back to you. Clicker response. So now you are indirectly rewarding the dog for showing intensity to go to, this is A, B, and C. This is a beautiful exercise. You don't need anybody, especially if you have the machine. If you don't have the machine, of course, your dog should be, you should be able to tell your dog, go back. He should come back on his own. So I'm going to share a small video when I did not have the machine, how I taught my Wali, my Malinois. I'm going to share that. This was about 2-3 years ago. It's not very refined, but I want to show you how I train dogs in the beginning. Otherwise, if I show you dogs, how it's done now, it all looks like magic. So I want to show you how, when I struggled, how I struggled. Sharing screen. What is this?
Here's that.
What is,
ये mic bug technology.
what is this? Okay, after you've seen this. Sorry. Not this. Yeah, this one. So I'm going to first tell you what is happening here. It's a long video, 3 minutes video. So I'm going to. Acha, if I put my screen in center, does it block you guys? Okay, it doesn't. Okay, good. All right. I thought I was sharing my screen. Okay. So you see the dog is in one position. I am standing in one position. There is a, I didn't have the food machine then, so I had a sleeve then, the biting, the sleeve. Okay. So now, please look at me and the dog all the time when I'm giving command. So I tell him to look at me. I tell him to look at the helper. I go there. Direct reward. Direct reward. He comes to me. I click. Forget the click because I need him to come to me. Now I tell him to go. Now this is a behavior that you must have of behavior of the dog going back to point A. If you don't have this behavior, this exercise is going to become very frustrating because you have to drag your dog, you have to put him in set, you know, it's a little bit drama. So teach basics first. Okay. So my dog can go back in the position A. I do it again. Look at me. Look at the helper. He's going, hey, go back. Okay. Sit. Now he's looking at me. See, I didn't like this because he's changing his body position to look only at me. I want him to be in a position where he only has to move his neck. that is a proper triangle, not looking at me. Okay. So I put him back in the position. Nice. Look at me. Look at the helper. Look at me. Look at me. Yeah. Direct reward. Okay. Now I'm giving an indirect reward. Because you came to me, you can take that. I know he wanted it. Okay. Next. Okay. Out. Go. Down. 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 When I share screen, can you hear the audio of the video? You can.
Yes.
Can
Oh,
hear,
then why
sir,
am I-
can hear.
Oh, then why am I talking? Okay. You guys can hear. See now. Look at me. Direct reward. Indirect reward. Go. Go. Down. Look at me. Look there. Go. Indirect. Go. Down. Mali. Mali. So this is an exercise. I want to see, have I done that calling off in between? I'm not sure I've done it. Okay. So because this is in the beginning video, I've not done it. But if you guys have the time, I'll just show you one video with my Oh, by the way, this is a video. This is a 10-minute video of Kasturi, this is what I was telling you. The whole 10 minutes, you can see how Kasturi is when she came to me. I think this is a video that you were talking about, Alvin. So how do I know?
Yes, sir, that's it.
Yeah. So how do I know? Yeah, this is the one. See, I click at the last minute, he turns away. Watch now. I tell him to go there. I click. Okay. So there is lots to, I mean, every question you have me, believe me, I have videos to show. Because that's what I've been doing for the last 2 to 3 years, is that every time I'm teaching people and every time people ask me questions, and I like to demonstrate with my videos only. I don't like to take videos from the YouTube and then show it to you. Because if I can't implement what I'm teaching, then I better stop teaching. So, yeah, any other questions?
There is a question on the chat.
Yeah, I'll look at it.
Peter,
I'll look at it.
I think it was directed to me,
Okay,
but
I don't
it's
see-
for
I don't
you.
see-
It's for you. It
No, I
was
don't see the
there.
question. I don't see any question.
Is it necessary to ban the dog before training or train the dog while binding?
What? Say that again.
Is it necessary to wait? Is it necessary to band the dog, to band with the dog before training, or train the dog while banding?
Well, banding, can you share that the chat? I can't see the chat. I don't think you're making sense when you say that. Are you asking me that should I buy a trained dog or buy a dog and then train? Is that the question?
I mean banding.
What is
Uh,
banding? I don't know.
wait, I will. How do I copy this? Forward.
Okay, let me see this.
Sir Bruce.
To bond. Okay. See, no training can happen without bonding. Simple. But that is why we have a clicker. Do you know US Army, they buy their dogs as green dogs at the age of 18 months or 16 months. They don't buy puppies. The US Army does not buy puppies. In fact, if any one of you is a breeder and a decent trainer with a breeder, you can get a market in the US Army. Because they're always looking for people who will give them a green dog. Now, you will spend all your life with that puppy till 16 months, teach behaviors. And you may think, how will this puppy bond with the army? But the army is exactly doing that, buying puppies at 16 months. Because they expect you to have proper markers with the dog. So if today you take Kaiser from me and you click, he will give you the same response. If you take my puppy and point a cone, the puppy will do the behavior, and when you click, he will show you the same behavior of happiness. Question is, when after you click, what do you do? Do you deliver the reward just like I do, or do you click and go back to sleep? Just an example. So there is a training methodology, and then there's a training philosophy. So you must have a bond with the dog, but if I'm going to be buying a 16-month dog and taking in my car the very first day, I don't need to have a bond with your dog if your dog is well socialized, if your dog understands markers, if your dog knows basic foundations. So at 16 months dog I purchase. A lot of people purchase adult dogs from US all the time. That dog knows sit down, come, sit, click, eat. Then you build bonding over that. Just because you buy a new dog at 16 months does not mean you can open his mouth, take out something from his mouth. He may bite you. That's not bonding. That's stupidity. Yes.
Any more questions?
I have a question for you guys. This is a part of one club. How many people are there in this club?
I haven't counted it yet, but it's more than 50 because
Great.
these are composed of two groups. The one group is for uniform personnel, and the other is for
The civilian.
general population.
Okay. All right. Because I was thinking that most of the clubs, they practice behaviors, but they don't spend time learning how to teach behavior. They will say, oh, your dog is doing good scent work. Teach me. Rather than first teaching the dog how to respond to markers. See, there is something called as learning theory. And then there's something called as practice session. Like if you saw my triangle video, you will think, okay, he's doing this, he's doing this, I'll also do this. Why am I doing it? What am I teaching the dog? How is it going to help me? I'll tell you how is it going to help me. If I practice a triangle very nicely, tomorrow, when I'm sending my dog to bite, let's say 3 decoys, there are 3 decoys coming at me. I can tell my dog which decoy to bite because my dog now understands directions. Look at me, look there, look there, look there. The dog starts to understand where to look. And because you're clicking and marking for looking. So there is foundations for many things, but we can go on like this. Anyway, if there are no questions, I'd like to make a formal thank you because this is a very well attended webinar. And yes, there were some interesting questions. I would have loved more questions because I can really I come alive when there are questions posed to me.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for being very
Thank you
patient.
very much for defining
Thank you
the
so
reward
much. Thank you.
systems.
I just have one request. Of course, Bruce will share a screenshot of all of us and maybe, but if you guys can post individual reviews on my page as to how the session was, I'll be very grateful. Reviews is what we all need to keep moving forward. Reviews gives me a feedback as to what should I be doing next. So thank you again, guys. You all know my page. It's Kenan of Kashi. Bruce, please share a link of my page so they know where to leave a review or a feedback. And I want to thank you. And namaste, all of you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay,
you, sir.
guys,
Thank you.
let us
Last question, sir.
let us follow Kashi. His
Sir,
page
last
is
question.
Kenan
Paunta ko,
Kashi.
sir.
There is a last question from Arvin.
When
When
is
is
the
it?
next session?
So Arvind, this was like a one-off webinar that I wanted to do. But believe me, Arvind, when I say this, and I want to say it with a lot of respect, I love teaching, but we must teach from the very beginning. You can't pick topics and teach. Learning never happens. What I've done right now is two things. I have shown you what I know. I have told you what you should know. But the learning becomes incomplete as to when should I know this? When is this information relevant to me? If today you don't have a dog, how is this information relevant? If your puppy is 8 years old, why is this information relevant? If you're not doing any training, why is this information relevant? So you need to have a natural progression when you teach a dog. So I'm not trying to clickbait you guys, but my private one-to-one or whatever we do is that these are all 15-hour courses where I teach you from the beginning. Like you asked me how to clicker conditioning. That is very important before you teach behaviors. In fact, if you look at any of my dogs, whether it's a puppy or an adult dog, they all have a fantastic response to clicker. That for me is non-negotiable. Because if you have that, I can teach anything. Like right now, I'm working on two new things because I don't know what's the weather in Philippines, but in India from May 1st, thank you, Yarmij. Like for instance, now we're going to have summers. You can't do agility. You can't do many exercises in summer. It's going to rain. It's going to be hot. I'm working on step-by-step laser directions. So the dog doesn't have to keep running everywhere and get tired. I'm doing a step-by-step laser direction. I point where you'll go. From there, what you do is the next step. I can make a dog bark or I can make a dog search from that particular point. So I can mix directions with detection. Direction with just general directions. Go left, go right, go front, pick up something, go forward. You've seen me do it with Cooper. Or I'm working on a little bit of companionship dogs. Basically, like for example, if you live alone, you're a 60-year-old person. You fall down. What do you want your dog to do when you fall down? Most people say, I just want my dog to come and be with me because you know what happens? Today, all of you guys do an experiment for me. Just walk your dog and simply fall down. Very few dogs will sit down next to you. Some dogs will try to bite you. Some dogs will run away. Some dogs will try to scratch you. Because these dogs don't know what to do when there is no command. So when you have a 60-year-old person who fainted, you can't tell that person before fainting, give a command. So the fainting should itself be the body language command to the dog. Or for example, I'm working on one more step. I want when my phone rings, kick, 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 that is a command for my dog to go bring medicines to me. So I can have medicines on time. You see, there is so much you can do, but everything has to be taught systematically. But before you teach even these behaviors, I call them behaviors, you need to have a learning diagram. Like, for example, I know there are many people who like to teach in positive reinforcement only. No problem. I can't fight with you and your beliefs. But even while teaching positive reinforcement behaviors, you have a learning triangle. When you want to teach with negative reinforcement, you have a triangle. How you learn, how you teach. At what stage, for example, do you give a name to the behavior? When do you introduce negative reinforcement? When do you do, what is the whole point of doing positive punishment? How bad is positive punishment if you don't understand it? So this is what I do. In fact, if you guys go through my Facebook reviews, most of my market is all international market. Most market people who've taken my courses are all Americans, Canadians, Europeans, Netherlands, you're somebody from Africa, because now people have started to understand that I can train my dog how to heel. I can train my dog how to retrieve. No problem. I'm sure all you guys can do it. But the question what most people lack is that when my dog does not do what I want him to do, how can I make him do it? If your dog is happily doing a retrieve, good for you. I'm not going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you when your dog does not want to retrieve. Then what do you do? What is the scope in your training to make the dog do it? You must understand the concept of unforced forced fetch. You must understand the concept of forced fetch. You must know how to do this. So there are many concepts and many training systematic way where you can do. That is why I want to conclude by saying any behavior you see in my videos, the dogs are always looking powerful. It could be a simple retrieve, but they look powerful. It could be a complicated exercise, they look powerful. They look like they know it. And anybody who's been following my videos will know every day or every second day, my puppies or my adult dogs are doing new behaviors. How is it possible? And whenever I post videos, please make a note. My dogs are always doing multiple repetitions. They're not doing single repetitions. The reason I show multiple repetitions is because I want you guys to know that my dog knows the behavior. It is not a fluke. So if your learning foundation is very good, it's very easy to build behaviors every day. Nobody knows how deep your Garka, your house foundation is. Everybody will come and say, wow, you live in a 3-story house. A 3-story house will also have 2-story foundation, which is inside the earth. Nobody knows, nobody sees it. So spend time learning the foundation. The pillars will look very attractive. Okay, guys?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Guys, let's follow Kashi and drop some reviews and comments to his page for this webinar.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. Very patient. I'm honored. Namaste.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
I'm logging out.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Sir Bruce, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, Bruce.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sunod naman, sunod.
Sir, exit na to, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sir Bruce.
Opo, exit na po tayo. Thank you.
Sige po, bye-bye po. Bye-bye sa lahat. Salamat po.
Bruce, maraming salamat.